love other people being successful through our restaurant, whether it be hiring someone and they become a shift lead to a general manager. All that stuff is amazing. It makes all the hard work worth it.
Welcome to The Bottom Line, the podcast that brings you real stories behind real restaurants. In each episode, we explore the decisions, systems, and stories behind the most successful restaurants out there in the market. No fluff, no hype. Just real operators, real challenges, and real advice from people who know how to get results. Let's get to the bottom line.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me and Antonio today. I have with me Antonio Gambino, the co-founder of Tono Pizzeria Cheesesteaks, a super duper successful brand out from Minnesota. They have 10 locations. They started only a few years ago. Him and his co-founder Shaz and their two other partners, they have created a very successful brand. I'm lucky that he joined me today to talk about his brand, his success, and his success stories. So thank you very much, Antonio, for joining me. Welcome.
For having me. Appreciate it.
Of course. By the way, I learned a few months ago that I'm quarter South Italian. There we go.
You are?
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
Very nice. Welcome to the team.
I was expecting more on the Turkic, Central Asia.
Yeah.
And then I learned I'm only like 1%. 1% Central
Really?
Asia. Yeah, I told like my ancestors like rode their horses all day, you know, in the steppes and stuff like that. Apparently they
what's the majority? Are you just a mix?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I'm 3% Iranian apparently, like Shaz, 25% South Italian, 14% Greek Isles. I would have never guessed that.
That's the Mediterranean though. It's kind of a mix.
Yeah, apparently my ancestors didn't discriminate when it comes to finding matches. We awesome. Love everybody.
Yeah, I did ancestry tree or whatever, and I did my DNA test. And my dad's full Sicilian, Southern Sicilian. And my mom's a mix of German, a little Irish, a little English. So I'm also a little bit mixed up in there.
We do a lot of prep going into these. When I first looked at your videos and stuff, I was like, God damn, this guy is both handsome and so young. I was like, damn,
Thank you.
Thank you. I was like,
the pizza keeps me young. Sauce and olive oil.
Yeah. Then we talk and we are about the same age. Although I don't think we look like we are about the same age, but
we look the same age.
Yeah.
We got it. We got this.
Okay, let's do the test. Do you have a heartburn after 8 p.m. if you eat a pizza?
I unfortunately I eat at like 8:30 every night, so usually my heartburn starts at like 10:30. I had to borrow my friend's medicine the other day. I'm like, man, I'm dying. Help me out.
Getting old sucks. And my mom told me, enjoy every day. And I'm like, I'm going to live forever, Mom.
Right. And I'm going to eat whatever.
I'm going to eat whatever. Nothing is going to happen to me.
Right. No, unfortunately, that doesn't work like that. I got a strong multivitamin plan, though. So it's keeping me in good shape.
Of course. Antonio, why don't you talk about yourself?
Yeah, so, I grew up on the East Coast till I was about 10 years old. I moved to Minnesota. My dad owned his first pizzeria in 1972 before I was born. So I grew up in the pizza industry. Summer breaks, I was working for my parents. I loved it. I loved pizza. I loved, the whole customer experience. So throughout high school, middle school and high school, I worked at my family's restaurant on the weekends. And some days, if someone didn't come to work, I'd get a call and I'd get a knock on my door and, Antonio, you're not going to school today.
Let's go.
I'm like, yes, I'll take another hour of sleep and I don't have to go to school. Right. Throughout high school, I was like, I kind of want to follow in my dad's footsteps and, kind of take over and expand on that and continue my family's legacy. My uncle Mario also owned pizzerias with my dad, so he's a big part of what we did. So yeah, I graduated high school in 2003, full time at my family's pizzeria, making pies, learning, working with employees and trying to make my own way, not being the owner's son.
Yeah.
Get away with stuff. I wanted to be treat it like anyone else. I wanted to work harder than everyone else. I didn't want the easy hall pass that this is my dad's restaurant. So those between, my dad teaching me hard work and other employees teaching me hard work to level up, it made me, who I am. I definitely love the industry. I love working hard. I love seeing other people work hard. I love other people being successful through our restaurant, whether it be, hiring someone and they become a shift lead to a general manager. All that stuff is amazing. It makes it all the hard work worth it. So graduated high school in 2003, worked for my parents. I had this idea of, opening a pizzeria in Minnesota and pairing it with with cheesesteaks. We did cheesesteaks out east. When we moved to Minnesota, we just did pizza by the slice, like in downtown Skyways. I don't know did Michigan have Skyways?
I don't know.
Downtown? No. Okay. So we're in the downtown district with the big high rises. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 2003, worked for my family, had an idea of doing pizza and cheesesteaks. Me, my best friend, Shaz, my brother and my dad, we opened up Frank and Andrea's on the University of Minnesota campus. Our other locations, we were in the Skyway, so we were basically open 10:03 p.m. On campus. We were open 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. So you can imagine it's a big shock of, a big window, a big work day. But I was up for the opportunity. We opened up in 2016. We knew who our audience was. Obviously, being on a college campus, our main audience would be college students.
Is that how the cheesesteaks came to be? Like, I know you answered this question like 20 different times. You guys have been like in TV shows, in everywhere, and probably everyone asks you the same question, right? Like cheesesteaks, how did it merge with pizzeria? I'm sure like many people told you like it's going to be confusing. Is it two different things? People will be confused. And how did you say like no, like cheesesteaks it is?
Yeah, I mean, between talking to my food providers, they're like, oh, you should do this roast beef and this terrible roll. I'm like, listen, I know what I want. I want to do a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Right? So getting the roll was the number one most important piece of, before we even got to, is it confusing between the pizza and the cheesesteak? So we had to get the Amoroso roll. We had to get either ribeye or prime inside round. Once we got that, it was kind of educating people on the cheesesteak in Minnesota. Because a lot of people didn't know what it was. They're like, what's a cheesesteak? I'm like, it's bread, steak, onions. I
had it in Philadelphia, right? Like 98% of the places can't put that flavor in that thing. Like when it marries, when all the flavors marry, it's the most amazing thing in the world, right? But like putting that flavor in, like, is an amazing challenge. So I want to congratulate you for like achieving that. Of course, you as an Italian, number one, like you guys, your ancestors, I mean, they figured out bread like no other country.
Oh, yeah.
Quality ingredients, infusing the flavor into everything, fusing together. It's an amazing experience.
Quality ingredients. I think that's the beginning of any food, right? It's like you have a lot of people that, try to knock off pizza, right? It's just cheap ingredients, cheap cheese, just throw things together. Even with the cheesesteak, from moving out east to Minnesota, to get a cheesesteak, they serve it like in a hot dog bun. And the meat would be in like a jus, and they put it on. It's like, well, you're doing nothing right? You just do it right? Get the right ingredients. Don't use, processed meats. I mean, our meat is never frozen. I mean, it's a real piece of meat that we have a meat company slice very thin for us. We chop it on the grill. Throughout time, we've elevated the cheesesteak, not doing the basic steak with onions or mushrooms. We've added all types of options between garlic aioli, barbecue aioli, habanero jam, caramelized tomatoes, all that stuff to kind of what they did with burgers, right? I mean, they've elevated burgers where you can have a classy cheeseburger with a bunch of crazy toppings. The standards are still good.
Yep.
But, in my head, I'm like, why can't we do that with cheesesteaks?
That makes sense.
Because people go to Philadelphia, they're like, it's an experience to be in this, Pat's or Geno's. It's an experience plus the food. When you're in Minnesota, I can't copy that experience to the T, right? You're not in Philadelphia. You're not at this vintage spot that's been around forever, that's been on TV, right? So, we started with the basic traditional Philly style cheesesteaks, and then we added to that to excite people in Minnesota. Like, for instance, we did my favorite cheesesteak, and the cheesesteak that gets the most compliments is our Fat Tony, P-H-A-T, Tony, with the habanero jam, garlic aioli, bacon, jalapenos, onions. Like this, the blend of that is delicious. And you can't get it anywhere besides Tono. So that was one of the things that I want to accomplish is keeping it traditional. You can still get the traditional stuff, but we're also innovating. We're also changing the cheesesteak game, which, all I feel like, between burgers, tacos, pizza, Asian, everyone's innovated. The cheesesteaks kind of stayed the same. People tried to copy it. They tried to cut the corners.
You have an amazing product. I looked at the restaurants. They are super clean and minimalist and inviting. The restaurant is an experience. How did it take off? From how soon was the lift off for you after you opened the first restaurant?
So we'll go to Tono. We opened that in 2019. In a suburb of Minnesota. And, any restaurant that you open, and nobody knows who you are, that's a challenge, right? It's like people drive by, who the heck is Tono, right?
Yeah.
It takes those first customers to knock that out of the park to let other people know. That's huge, right? We take that extremely serious because they're going to tell their friends. I just had the best cheesesteak. I just had the best pizza. And you grow organically. It's slow, but you're doing the right things, right? You don't have a ton of money. You can't be McDonald's and these guys running ads everywhere. So that was a huge challenge. I'm there all day, every day. The first location we open, I'm making sure every customer that walks in is greeted with a hello. The best service possible with the best food. So we opened 6 months before COVID. And we thought, this is the end of us.
But then,
this is our luck,
delivery.
Right? Our luck. But it ended up being, pickup and delivery and our presence online, through my other partners knocking that out the park. We looked very enticing. We looked professional. And people went on DoorDash and searched us online, and we're like, "Wow, this place looks good. Let me give it a try." When I'm sitting at home and can't leave, right? So we got extremely busy, and we did really well. And through that, we kind of took advantage of the fact that, let's open more locations now and expand as much as possible while everyone's nervous because of COVID. Obviously, it's an unfortunate event, COVID. We wanted to, take care of customers, take care of employees. We're hiring tons of people during COVID while, a lot of people are getting laid off, right? So we took that as very prideful to be able to pick up some of these people that have been working in the food industry for a lifetime that got laid off overnight, right?
And give people something to keep them sane, right? Great food.
Yep. Yeah, right.
That's awesome. This is the amazing.
That's my uncle. There you go.
Yeah, your uncle.
That's my uncle.
Family affair.
He needs his own TV show. Podcast. Yeah, my dad's retired. He's retired. My mom and dad come to Minnesota for the summer. They're snowbirds. Yeah, they're sold.
Did they sell the business?
No. Me and my brother took over.
Wow. So I got you. Wow. So
Andrea Pizza.
Yeah, Andrea Pizza, 4 locations in Minnesota. So you have Tono and Andrea.
Yep, Tono Pizzeria plus Cheesesteaks. We have Frank and Andrea, which is our college campus brand, and then we have Andrea Pizza, which is in the Skyways downtown Minneapolis.
Jeez, you're
Pizza King.
busy. Pizza King. Wherever somebody turns, so the guy is mad at you for something, and he's like, I will never come here. And then turns the corner, another one of your restaurants.
Yeah, right.
Kingpin.
Right.
Kingpin of Minnesota.
Just trying to give good pizza, man. All fun, everything. We try to cover all aspects of the pizza.
And look at all these reviews.
I love it. I can make pizzas all day.
4.7, 4.8, great reviews. And like this, I guess people will be within an Uber distance anywhere in Minneapolis, right?
So yeah, we kind of covered the suburbs around Minneapolis. That South Minneapolis location is like a suburb of Minneapolis. And then, so that's like the west side of Minnesota, which we've recently been opening stores. We have started on the east side of Minnesota, which is like St. Paul of the Twin Cities.
By the way, shout out to your architect. It's I did a lot of constructions. Like it looks like an experience. I love the lighting like this, and like there are a lot of smart touches in there, and it's an inviting place, warm at the same time. Like from a business standpoint, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg to build these. As I look at this, it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, we wanted to not feel like a copy-paste franchise that just is blah and looks fake. We wanted to feel
warm,
cozy. Like when you're sitting in our restaurant, you don't feel like you're even in Minnesota. You feel like, you're in New York, you're in the East Coast, you're in Philadelphia.
And there are these like touches like this, like neon sign, like this.
Sign is awesome. Got a little retro vibe feel. The wood floors are just, you feel, it just feels cozy. It feels nice.
And wood creates
it's hard to put words on that, the value of that, right? Those feelings you get when you walk into a store and you're like, this feels right.
Yeah. I know.
It's hard to hit, That's, my business partner, Dario, he owns Classic Property Services, and he builds all the restaurants, and his guys are amazing. I mean, you can see their work. They have a true passion for building things and creating things, and they do a fantastic job. It's amazing, and it's fun to watch the whole process. Empty shell to the slow process of putting walls up and doing plumbing, and they build the seats. The oven gets built in the store. We use a Mariforni oven. They build that in the store. Every location's been built in the store. It takes about 5 days, sorry.
Wow.
And then another 5 days to cure. It's fun. Every step of it's fun,
It's a good thing. One of us had fun during. I built many restaurants. Many of them were like $10-15 million builds, like 5 to 15 million, like huge builds. Like ours was ultra mega fine dining, charcoal, like getting permissions. Hoods were a huge always a heart attack moment. So at least one of us enjoys construction. To me, like when I look at this and imagine myself going through the plans with the architect and everybody talking to me about iron ducts and like going 10 stories high and this and that, takes me back to those days. But very beautiful locations.
I will say when we opened Frank and Andrea's, the worst part of opening that store was the construction.
Yeah,
I didn't have I wasn't super close to Dario at the time. And, I learned a lot. I had to go to construction meetings every week, and these guys are saying things I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you,
right? I don't know the language.
Do you polish concrete or,
right.
Or painted concrete? I'm like,
all these codes. It's a tough business. So that was one of the things I was happy to bring a partner in, and obviously he brings a ton of other skills to the game. But man, when that weight is off your shoulders,
when you open the
and you can
location?
focus on what we each do well. We each do what we do well even better because we have all that extra time and not all that weight on our head. I can focus on the menu. I can focus on creating new ideas. We work together and marketing ideas and all that, and community outreach, things that I do pretty well, not a construction guy.
That's great. And talk to me about Shaz. So
A lot. He wears a lot of hats as we grow. We're able to kind of offset some of those responsibilities off of his head as we have more stores and able to afford more help. He's been a huge part of operations as far as back end, between apps and like ADP and Toast. So we use Toast for our POS. We use Toast for our payroll. We switched to ADP recently. He's an engineer by trade.
Yeah,
so you can
electrical engineer.
Extremely
System process oriented.
system processes, extremely organized. The opposite of what I do.
You are the creative party.
Yeah, I like to have ideas. He also has a lot of ideas too, and we work together. Our skill sets really complement each other really well. He does, accounting. We're hiring an accounting now. He's pretty much the CFO, the CEO. He's an amazing guy, amazing friend. He's a genius. When things get hard, I'm like, I'm lucky to have a great friend that also is a great businessman.
Did you guys meet in Minnesota after you did the move to Minnesota?
We met in high school.
This is a clip from one of the openings. I think this is the 7th location. I opened many restaurants, so when somebody figured out from marketing, what to say, everything is structured at this juncture.
Today we're at the grand opening of our 7th Tono Pizzeria plus Cheesesteaks in South Minneapolis. We're super excited to be here and be part of this community as a local business. We feel it's so important to connect with our neighborhoods and our community members. We had a line out the door, got a lot of raving reviews. That's what we like to see.
There we go. The look, the opening look. This is what I call the opening look. The super stressed business owner. Right now you are, if you have heat vision, right now you are basically torching with your heat vision.
We gotta make a lot of pies very fast.
And somebody's screwing up, but you are seeing that person is slow or talking to somebody basically enjoying themselves a bit much. This is that look. Enjoying the opening a bit much when you are trying to push the pizzas.
Making the pies. Can I videotape you? Can you say something? Yeah, I can do it all. Just let me know. Whatever you need. It's fun. The stressful in-store stuff can be fun. I have ADD, so my ADD is my gift when I'm in store working.
So 10 locations, right? And then you have 2 other brands. You have Shaz, business guy. You as the creative, the operational guy. You have in your belt decades of recipes, decades of. On top of it, maybe 100 years of recipes, and then decades of restaurant experience, right? Between you and your father, you have Shaz, and then 2 partners who help you basically find the locations and build. But at the heart of it, what would be your guidance, advice to people who would like to repeat the success? Because I always say restaurants are like tech companies in the sense that when you have something that works, it can spread like the wildfire, right? They're just like tech companies. The one day you have 5 employees, the next day you can have a giant, be Instagram. And, when done right, hospitality, what we do can be that. So some people have one restaurant throughout their lives, 40, 50 years, one restaurant. And then people like you come in. What I call is the rock star. You are basically one level, in my opinion, maybe you will get there, the Taylor Swift category. Taylor Swift is like Shake Shack, is like Taylor Swift. What I mean is, creating something unique, explaining that to people, and figuring out all the economics and turning this into a machine. I think that's the beauty part of it. Because unless one has like a Michelin star restaurant, like one is okay, right? If you are doing this as a business, like what you achieved, it should be the goal of everybody. So you can share it with more people. More people talk about your creations, and you can experiment because you will have more money to experiment, more buffer zone. You can hire the best people, use higher grade ingredients. Michelangelo and the statue of David, right? Like if he used like sub-quality marble, because he didn't have the funds, it wouldn't have been David, right? Or
Right.
if he didn't have like 2 or 3 years to build it and he had to rush because he had to build it in 6 months, it wouldn't have been the same thing. Like funds do help. What is your advice to the audience? What should people take away? What would be the 1 or 2 things that should be like, critical in everyone's mind?
Well, I think the most important thing is like actually love doing it. If you're just doing it for the money, I don't think you're gonna do the necessary work. I don't think it'd be authentic. I think people would know that this is just some place to make money. I think if you love it, the quality will follow. And then finding, if you want one story, you could probably do a lot of it yourself. If you want to have multiple locations, I would, suggest finding people that complement your skill set that obviously you could trust. And you're all on the same page of what your goal is, whether it be 3 stores, 5 stores, 10 stores, all are amazing, right? I mean, you open one restaurant and it's successful. That's awesome, right? Especially if you're doing huge build outs like yourself where, one restaurant, you have, $5 to $15 million in investment and, you have 200 employees or something. I mean, that's massive, right? And you're successful at that. That's already amazing.
I opened one in 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Yeah, that's right.
I was told we are not opening that store, so, take it easy. Then 4 weeks you need to open the restaurant. Beverly Hills, COVID.
Yeah.
And we are talking about freaking California. So I live in Florida. So we are living in 1987, party your ass off, right? Like in the 80s. In California, I mean, it's a whole different story. And 6 weeks in order to open at that time, I had to first build the corporate to open the restaurant. So I can hire 120 employees in a state that we have never ever operated before. Yeah, so that's
the challenges and the loopholes you got to go through. I mean, each state has their own laws too, and to figure those out that's a challenge on its own. Forget about operating and hiring and getting open. 6 weeks is amazing. Good job. Great job. Yeah, I mean, typically we like to hire, a few months in advance when we open a new store, especially for training and finding management and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think if you love what you do, your recipe or your whatever you're serving is authentic to who you are and what you believe in, people will follow that, right? It's like going to Austin, Texas and trying barbecue, right? I mean, those are barbecue guys. Right? It's so authentic. They live it. They breathe it. And when you go in there, you feel it, right? That's not fake, right? That's passion and people love that. I mean, I went to Terry Black's in Austin and there's a line all day long and it's like their food's great, but it's like, it's a known spot, right? It's like you feel the authenticity. So I would say that also, just taking care of a good culture for staff, appreciate them, show they matter, their work is important. They're not just a number that clocks in and out. You care about them, you want them to succeed, and you show a path to success for everyone is super important. I think, some of our staff's been with us, team members, family, whatever, they're family to me. You've been with us for, 20 years, and that's amazing, right? Just that alone is a lot of things make it worth it. Hearing your food's good, hearing this is great. But, when customers walk in and they can see the same face every day and they're like, what are you guys doing to keep all these guys together? Every time I go to somewhere else, it's someone new. Don't try to be the do-all person. Find someone. Like if you can cook really good, find someone that loves, the back end stuff. If you're a back end guy that loves food in the restaurants but doesn't want to cook every day, find someone that loves to cook, that has a vision. That. Otherwise, it's like, it can be draining. There's a lot of little things in restaurants, right? And opening a restaurant and walking away, there's a lot to manage. It's a people industry, right? Whether it's customers or employees, there's a lot.
I think that's why, for many restaurateurs, it is so draining, and they don't see any other way of doing it because, they are stuck in the loop that they can't hire the people that they think they can really rely on, and because of that, they need to fix every single problem in the restaurant. Your second location calls, they are warehouse told me they are out of chicken or something, and then you have to call the sales rep or the guy above him to basically raise hell so they ship you whatever it is that you need. So these kind of fire drills are no fun. I think there's a way to do this that is fun, that is rewarding, that you can see that your brand is elevated, your people are elevated, and you live a long, prosperous life. The fact that you don't have any wrinkles tells me you have achieved.
Yeah, I got some gray hairs coming in now, so I don't know. But yeah, you have to trust people. I know a lot of people that just they don't feel like they can walk away from the store. It's not everyone's going to do it exactly like you. It's just not possible, right? Everyone's brain's different, right? I'm going to process something different than any, manager, general manager, operations manager. I have to trust that they're making what they believe is the best decision and just put them in the best position to succeed too, right?
The second part is the most important thing. They know that they can't rely on that general manager because they didn't hire the best and the brightest and the most the promising guy, okay? Because they don't have the funds. It's a whole vicious cycle of you don't generate the funds, you don't hire the best and the brightest. When I say best and the brightest, you hire the guy who shows up work. Your GM shows up work slightly overserved. And guess what kind of example that sets up for the whole staff? Then you know that you can rely on that guy. You didn't really give him a lot of the response, the administrative responsibility. So his job is to open the restaurant, answer some guest complaints and close the restaurant. So strictly front of the house operation. There is a beginning and an end. It's not really a GM role in that sense. You hope that if something breaks down, that guy is gonna call the repair company. But these roles and who's responsible for what or what needs to be done hasn't been established. That's why, when it's not really established or communicated, can you rely on that person? Number one, you didn't hire a reliable person. Number two, you didn't really set up any kind of instructions or training, or you just hope that when that happens, you'll be there to take that call and you will do the fixing. So it's a whole, just like you said, and this is my contribution, vicious cycle. And because the restaurant operates like this, and the problem is why these restaurants can't really scale is that everybody works the agent versus principal problem. People would look at, in such a restaurant, people would look at the problem and they will say, what's in it for me? He doesn't pay me to take care of this or communicate that. And in those restaurants, problems aren't really communicated higher up. So say you gave this order and something else came up from the distributor. You won't know this. Do you know who could know? Your accountant could know.
I think it's being clear on what each position is responsible for and holding people accountable to that. As we grow, we've begun to use EOS, which is from a book called Traction, Entrepreneurial Operating System, which puts, a very clear bucket list of things, of positions and responsibilities. And we run meetings through that, and it holds everyone accountable. And I think most people want to know what they're accountable for and how they're measured.
That's right.
So they know exactly what to do instead of like all this gray area.
All the gray area, that's right.
And as we grow, we were kind of sitting in that gray area where we have GMs for maybe one store or two stores, and there's like a lot of cross, like, should I do this or should I do this? Everybody wanted to do something and help. But when you give that clear vision, you give that clear instruction, what you're responsible for, what you're going to be held accountable for, and making sure those people want to be in those seats.
Very important thing. Super important. Right people in the right seats.
Not that's not a big deal, but some people maybe want to be a shift lead. Some people just want to be a cook. Some people want to be general managers. Like, it's your job to tell them what those roles and responsibilities are and how you can achieve that step ladder through the restaurant. And we've really picked up on that in the last year. I think we started EOS a year ago, and this is Shaz's thing. He's very good at organizing and setting up these meetings and doing all that stuff. But people and we get feedback from, our general managers, and they love it because they just know exactly what they're supposed to do and what metrics we use to track important information and to-dos and, labor and sales and, reviews, all those things. And I think, generally speaking, whatever position it is, if someone knows what they're supposed to do, they'll succeed.
Here's the vicious cycle that I was referring to.
Okay.
Without the right employees trained right, you won't have consistency. Without consistency, you won't get guest loyalty. Without guest loyalty, you can't build your revenue. Without revenue, you won't get good employees.
Right.
So it goes on and on and on.
On and on. And it's like, where do you start? Which part?
That's why I think, number one, what you said is super important. Everybody should do the thing that they are competent on, right? Both in terms of the segment of the restaurant and then the job within the restaurant. So you need to have good people like Shaz complementing, two founders forming one unit, right? And then you guys had an amazing concept, executed very, very good. You generated money to hire the right employees, you trained them, and you got consistency. Then with consistency, you got guest loyalty, people raving for your brand. That's why I say restaurants can be like tech companies, because yours is a cycle of generate money, borrow, open new restaurants. They repeat the formula. 10 could be 1,000. What's to hold you up in opening their 150th location in Dubai? Nothing. And hence the investor side. So tell me about that. What's the next step for Tonos?
Yeah, I mean, we hired an in-operational consultant just to kind of go through what we all do, how we do it, and how we can improve. He started maybe 6 months ago or something. So we have that going on. We're hiring. We have those, and it's, these big books and all that stuff. And, I talk to people that worked at, big franchises and all that stuff. And I'm like, so how many people actually read this book? And he's like, not a ton, but, so we have that. We can always improve. Right now we're hiring a fractional CFO. So we're more, as far as accounting and all the expenditures and all that stuff, is more specific to restaurants. So that started this week, believe it or not. And then we met with kind of a venture capitalist that finds restaurants, works with them, and then finds people that want to invest and continue that culture. So whoever were to invest would be a like-minded person, not just a guy with money. So yeah, I mean, and we've gone through many, do we try to franchise? We went to the Vegas Franchise Expo or something maybe 3 years ago. That was horrible, man. I mean, some of these guys you talk to, they're like, oh, what's your margins? Is it like 40, 50%? I'm like, dude, if my margins were 50%, I wouldn't be coming talking to you. Right? It's like 50, like, come on, dude. And it's just, and people I talk to, it's a cutthroat game. A lot of these guys that would help you find franchisees they just want to open up. They just want to find someone and get their commish and leave. And that's not how we operate. Like if we ever expanded through like a franchise, which we're not, like my main focus would be to make sure that guy is successful. Cause that also represents Tono, right? Like,
yeah. I don't Tono care. Is you.
Right. I don't care how much I own in that. Like, I want it to be 4.8 stars, man. 4.7, period. Like, that's our reputation. I don't care if it's a franchisee or not. So we're thinking more the corporate route, and learning. We're learning as we go on how to expand our organization and what that looks like. Obviously, we can probably ourselves only take it so far. We'll eventually bring someone in and to help, maybe get out of state and all that stuff. We are opening up Frank and Andrea's in Madison, which is the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. That's like 6 hours. It's about 4 hours away from us. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of our next goal, to hit, maybe 25 or 50 stores. What that looks like, I have no idea. My job is just to make sure we serve good food. We have a good culture. People are trained in, and we're making food right, and we're taking care of customers and all that stuff.
I want to congratulate you, Antonio, like on your amazing success, Shaz and your other partners, your father and your uncle, for bringing the business to today. I hope they are doing great in Florida. I mean, I'm in Florida as well. And it has been such a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah,
I know I've taken a lot of your time, but I think you gave such great information here, very actionable stuff. Is there anything you would like to add?
That's everything. I appreciate you taking your time and wanting just to hear our story, how Tono started, how it began, where it's going. So thank you for your time. That was very nice of you.
Thanks for tuning in to The Bottom Line. If you found value in today's conversation, make sure you follow, share, and leave a review. Have a question or need a professional's opinion? Then be sure you reach out using the links in the show notes below. New episodes come out every other week, and until then, we will see you next time.